Good morning everyone, and for today's lesson we are dealing with the properties of polygons and problem solving. Well, these lessons are not in your module because the next lesson is constructing polygons. But for us to construct polygons, let's have the properties of polygons and let's try problem solving. Now, this is still the module of the week. And the prerequisite for this lesson are the kinds of triangle, the properties of triangles, kinds of quadrilateral, and the properties of quadrilaterals. Now let's have triangles. Yes, we know that triangles has three sides, has three vertices, and has three angles. But there are different kinds of triangles. The first one is according to angles. The kinds of triangles according to angles are your acute triangle, your right triangle, and your obtuse triangle. When we say acute triangle, these are the triangles with three acute angles. Right triangles are the triangle with one right angle and two acute angles, and definitely obtuse triangle has one obtuse angle and two acute angles. So these are the illustrations of each of the following triangles. So take note, an acute triangle, lahat dito ng angle niya ay all acute, meaning less than 90 degrees. Now, when we say right triangle, there is one angle that is right and it is 90 degrees and the rest are acute angles. While the obtuse, syempre may isa ring obtuse angle, ayan, yung medyo mabuka ka, at the rest ay acute angles. Yan. And also, we can classify triangles according to sides. So the kinds of triangle according to sides are your scalene triangle, isosceles triangle, and equilateral triangle. When we say scalene, no sides are equal, while on isosceles, two sides are congruent, and equilateral meaning all sides are congruent. So these are the illustrations of the following triangles. Scalene, walang magkakapareho. So let's take for example, ito mas mahaba, ito medyo, ito hindi rin kapareho ng lahat ng mga sides niya. Yan, yung isosceles naman, two sides are congruent. Yan. When we say isosceles also, the base angles are also congruent. So if this is 45 and this is 45, therefore it is an isosceles triangle. Equilateral triangle, all sides are congruent. So pag 3 dito, dapat 3 din dito at 3 din dito. Yon. So gets? Okay, so there are also properties of triangles. The first one, a triangle has three sides, three angles, and three vertices. Number two, the sum of all interior angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. Number three, the sum of the length of any two sides of triangle is greater than the length of the third side. Yan, we will apply that property later on. And number four, the side opposite to the largest angle of the triangle is the largest side. And number five, any exterior angle of a triangle is equal to the sum of its interior angles. Yon. And the perimeter and area formula for the triangle is this one. Perimeter equals side 1 plus side 2 plus side 3. And the area is equal to base times height all over 2. We will apply that later on. Next, let's proceed to quadrilaterals. When we say quadrilaterals, these are the polygon with 4 sides and 4 angles. Yan. And there are different types of quadrilateral. We can classify a quadrilateral as a kite, as a parallelogram, and as a trapezoid. Now, a parallelogram has also its sub-classification. While the kite and trapezoid, you will encounter them in your grade 9 mathematics, in your higher mathematics. But for today, since you are still in grade 7, let's have the basic, the parallelogram. Parallelogram can be classified as a rectangle, a rhombus, and a square. A parallelogram is a quadrilateral. A rectangle is a parallelogram, but a parallelogram is not a rectangle. A rhombus is a parallelogram, but a parallelogram is not a rhombus. A square is a parallelogram, but a parallelogram is not a square. Take note of that. Okay, so let's have the kinds of quadrilaterals. We have kite, parallelogram, and trapezoid. When we say parallelogram, two sides are congruent and adjacent. Parallelogram meaning opposite sides are congruent. And when we say trapezoid, it has only one pair of parallel lines. So these are their illustrations. Yan. Yung kite, adjacent sides are congruent. For example, this and this are congruent and this part. While the parallelogram, opposite sides, ito ay congruent at ito rin. Wait, I will mark this. Ganyan. At yung trapezoid, pwede rin siyang, ba trapezoid? Wait lang. This should be trapezoid, ha? This should be trapezoid. If it is an isosceles trapezoid, then the legs are congruent. But if not, then they do not have the same length. And the base angles of an isosceles trapezoid are congruent also. But if it is not an isosceles trapezoid, then they do not have the same base angles. And the kinds of parallelogram are your rectangle, rhombus, and square. When we say rectangle, opposite sides are equal and all angles are 90 degrees. When we say rhombus, not all angles are 90 degrees and all sides are equal. While when we say square, all angles are 90 degrees and all sides are equal. So these are the representations of the following. So sabi niya dito, yan, opposite sides are equal. When we say rhombus, all sides are equal. And also with the square, all sides are equal. In rectangle, lahat ay 90 degrees. Lahat dito ay 90 degrees. Yung rhombus, it's not. Hindi lahat ay 90 degrees. At sa square, lahat ay 90 degrees. Yan. So, gets nyo ba? Now, let's proceed to the properties of quadrilaterals. Ayan na. Screenshot nyo na lang ito or i-post nyo na lang tong video to para maintindihan nyo at mabasa nyo ng mas matagal ang mga properties ng quadrilaterals. So, we can now proceed with the perimeter and area. So, these are also the formulas for the perimeter and area of kite, parallelogram, and trapezoid. Also, these are the formulas for the perimeter and area of square, rhombus, and rectangle. By the way, S stands for sides, L stands for length, W stands for width, D stands for diagonals, H stands for height, and B stands for base. Yan. So let's have problem solving involving polygons. The first problem. By the way, these problems are in your module. So consider this as your bonus points. Problem number 1. The length of two sides of a triangle is 8 centimeters and 5 centimeters, and the perimeter is 9. What are the possible measures of the third side? Take note. Use the property, the sum of the length of any two sides of a triangle is greater than the length of the third side. Now let us label the following sides. Let's take this as 5 centimeters and this is 18 centimeters. Now it was given in here. It was given in here that the perimeter is 19. So ano pa ba ang kulang dito para maging 19 ang sum? So 19 cm minus 13 cm equals 6 cm. Therefore, this side is 6 centimeters. Yan. Let's have problem number 2. If the perimeter of isosceles triangle ABC is 21 and the length of side AB is 8, what is one possible value for the length of side BC? Okay, so let's have an illustration of an isosceles triangle. Yan. The legs are congruent. And let's label this as triangle A, B, and C. Now, the given in the problem is the perimeter, which is 21. So, if AB is 8, at ang tinatanong lang naman ay BC. So, since congruent sila, syempre, 8 na rin yung sagot. Yan. At yung third part naman, hindi pa natin alam. So, since 21 yung perimeter, 21 minus 16, we have, let's take this as 5. Yan, ganun lang yun. Two legs of isosceles triangle are congruent. Then we have the next problem. Problem number 3. ABCD is an isosceles trapezoid. What is the measure of angle B? Take note. Base angles of an isosceles trapezoid are congruent. So if this is 72 and this is the another base angle, therefore it is also 72 degrees. Angle B is 72 degrees. Gets? Napakasimple lang kasi. Just follow the rules and the properties and you can solve that problem without even solving, but just using your logical reasoning. Now it's your turn. Open your modules and do the activities assigned to you by your teacher. And thank you for watching and God bless you all. So that ends our lesson for today and I hope you learned something. See you again on my next lesson. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe and click the notification bell below for more updates and more videos. This is your teacher,